Greetings and welcome. How are we all feeling at the moment? Today's topic is on self-destruction. And yes, most of us are guilty of this. And it's basically the brain's natural way of thinking and processing. See, the brain tends to think in a little bit more of a negative way. And the more we reinforce that, the more negative we become. And self-destruction can happen as a result of that. Self-destruction is really, really bad. And we don't realize the small things that we are doing that are harming us. And the sad thing is that self-destruction is a subconscious process. It's something that we get so used to that we just practice it over and over and over. And that can cause a lot of damage to the psyche and a lot of damage to your mental health. Remember, self-destruction is a form of self-sabotage. So self-sabotage is when you get in your own way, when you intend to do something, but your actions and what you do is the exact opposite. It's basically like you trying to get at yourself the whole time. Even though you consciously might not want to, it's something that we reinforce over and over. And it has a lot to do with how we view the self, how we feel about the self. Because people who tend to have a lower self-image or a lower self-esteem tend to self-destruct a lot more. And it has to do with the fact that we just don't feel worthy anymore. We just don't feel deserving. So our natural default mode becomes self-destruction because we haven't learned better and we think the world is out to get us. So we just carry on with this destructive cycle of self-sabotage. And remember, as I said, we get in our own way. We are the reason we have limitations. We are the reason that we fail. It's because we set up these blocks that block us from achieving things. And we really put these barriers in place. And it limits us. When we self-sabotage or self-destruct, we limit ourselves to new possibilities, to healing, to growth. And we just completely form an enemy of ourselves. And we just become our own worst enemies. And that is what's going to reinforce self-sabotage and self-destruction even further. And it's true that you are your biggest hurdle. What you believe, what you've accepted as true, what makes sense to you, what you relate to, will all have an effect on how you create these limitations for yourself in your life. And it can make it very difficult to achieve things. And you may even feel so demotivated as well. And a form of self-destruction and a form of self-sabotage is the limiting beliefs that we create from our experiences that tie in with our core values. And our limiting beliefs could be like, oh, I could never do this because I can't do this and this. And it's amazing what we can achieve when we remove those limitations, when we remove those mental blocks, stuff and problems that are keeping us trapped in the same place. When you create a belief, and most of the time beliefs are limiting by nature. And what we don't understand is that a belief and truth are not always the same thing. So what you believe about yourself, what you believe about other people will have a massive effect on your ability to not self-destruct. And self-destruction is it goes downhill. It's a cycle that repeats itself over and over, and it constantly just goes downhill and downhill and downhill. And the beliefs that you create about yourself when you are in these difficult situations could be the reason that you're not getting out of it. The important thing that you need to do when you are struggling with self-sabotage, self-destruction, it's important to build resilience, to build strength within yourself. Because the more you give into destruction, the less you focus on construction in your life. So building resilience is incredibly important so that you can sort of resist the urge to bring yourself down or do something to get in your own way. Your resilience is what tests you in difficult times. And resilience is the first step that will stop you from self-destruction, because we self-destruct when we don't recognize our strengths. And the important thing is to focus on self-reconstruction, because what we focus on, we feel, and what we feel, we reinforce until they become materialized in our external world. So focus on building the self up rather than breaking the self down. Focus on what you want out of your life instead of what you don't want. And that's how you build yourself up. Reconstructing the self is damage control. It's healing and it's growth. And self-destruction can manifest in many different areas of your life. And one that I want to focus on is destructive thinking. When your thinking is so negative or your thinking is so damaging, it creates emotions, because thoughts directly create emotions. And it's the emotions that we feel that affect how we think. So destructive thinking is absolutely a form of self-sabotage and self-destruction, because the quality of your thinking will determine your perception and your view, your values as well. Another one is destructive habits, because when you are doing things in a self-serving way that is destructive or harmful, then you are self-destructing. If you do something that you know is bad for you, but you keep doing it anyway, that is a form of self-sabotage, especially when it's limiting you, keeping you back. So your habits have a huge effect on self-destruction. For example, you have a habit of waking up late, and because of that, you miss meetings and you lose track of time, you get stuck in traffic, and that is all a part of self-sabotage, to not give yourself space to grow in your full potential. And toxicity and toxic relationships, toxicity within the self and toxicity within the relationships can also be a form of self-destruction, because if you are toxic, then you are not growing, you are not healthy, then you are self-destructing. The same with the relationships. A destructive or toxic relationship can completely destroy a person. And also keep in mind that self-destruction can lead to hurting and damaging yourself. When it goes to the point where you don't care anymore, you just want what numbs you or makes you feel better, doesn't matter what it may be. People can use multiple things for this, and we damage the self, and it goes so far that we lose so much integrity and self-respect that we just get used to completely damaging the self. Remember, self-destruction is learned from the past. It's not something that we learn from the future or from future prospects. Self-destruction is learned from not being good enough, being rejected, not being worthy, or feeling worthy enough. So remember, self-destruction and self-sabotage have a huge effect on your mental health and can block you from so many wonderful things in life. So remember, you are unique and valuable. Take care of that stunning person. Stay strong wherever you're from. You are worthy.